a folder window with different
Good.
images in it.
Does that look big on your screen or does it look like mine? Okay, so let me see here.
It looks pretty big.
Okay, good. So if it's looking big on your screen, then obviously something's right. Okay, so I guess Carl was talking about, lava and waves and stuff like that. Kind of what I'm known for is my stupidity. That's just kind of now, are you able to see what just popped up when I pop up the video?
It doesn't show the actual video. It just showed you clicking the icon, but nothing after that.
How do I make that share? That's my question.
You may have to have that open first before you hit the share screen.
Oh, okay. So then how do
Open and paused and then as a separate window.
Share screen. Oh, look at this. Okay, I'm going to try and
to avoid that, you can share your whole screen and everything you go on your screen shows up, not just individual windows.
Okay, well, let's
Yeah, it looks like your video is ready to start. It looks like that's shared now.
Okay, so this is kind of what I'm known for. I'm known for my stupidity. I am the guy who swims with lava to get wave photos. So I've been photographing the lava for about 25 years. This was taken back in 2010. When I did this in 2010, this was for years I had been photographing the waves, and I then saw the lava enter in 2005. It entered on a beach much like this, and when it entered on that beach, I had this idea. I could go and I could photograph the waves with the lava. So I ran home, I grabbed my water housing, and the next day I came out. And by the time I came out, that beach that I had actually, that beach that I'd been standing on dropped off as part of a 40-acre bench collapse. These beaches are very, very unstable. They're built over, it's basically as the lava comes out, it'll form a bunch of sand and cinder and all of that. You can see these little rocks that you see floating around in the surf. Those rocks will kind of pile up on each other, and then the lava will build out over that. So it's not exactly granite. So what'll wind up happening is you get all of this loose substrate underneath the bench of lava. And as the waves come in, they'll shoal all that away. And as they shoal it away and they take that out, it'll leave a shelf. And that shelf is supported by nothing then. Once it's supported by nothing, eventually it'll just crack and break. And we get these, we've had collapses as big as 40 acres just drop off into the ocean many times. So the beach that I had been standing on in 2005 dropped into the ocean and was gone. Well, I sat and I was ready for it, and I had multiple chances to get in the water after that, but none that really produced photos until this day. This is actually the first day that I got where the waves were actually curling properly and everything was going right. So I was able to hop in the water, swim about 20 feet from the active volcano, and actually get the shots that you'll see pop up every once in a while here of the waves going, but with the lava down them. And it was a view that I had seen, and it was something that I wanted to share with the world. And I was finally able to do that in 2010. I got a chance to do it again in 2013. Of course, that time it was illegal because when I did it in 2010, much like the tube of preparation H, it did not say do not take orally until some idiot. Well, in 2010, when we did this later, they decided to pass a little legislation about swimming with the lava. But the good news is that my buddy Nick and I are the only ones in the world that actually have successful photos of lava down the barrel of a wave. So when we did it again, it was amazing how I just found some extra photos that were laying around that I had never shared before. But I say it's because we live in the honey boo boo generation. They don't put good on TV. I'm sure many of you are great photographers in your own right. Carl's a fantastic photographer. I know that for a fact. Fact of the matter is that you're not going to get press by doing good. You do good, you do great, you do whatever, you're not going to get press. All you get press for nowadays is bad and stupid. I go rob a bank and I have my camera in my hand, I will be labeled the video camera robber, and I will be on every news station from here to China. Do great photography. You're probably not. Who's seen the video footage about the best photographer in the world? I don't think any of us ever will. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's better than me, better than you, better than everybody there. We're probably never going to see that footage. But doing something stupid like this, I've been on the Today Show, I've been on Good Morning America, I've been on Discovery Channel, Nat Geo. I'm in every newspaper from here to China after this. That's just the way stupid works. And if you know how the system works, go and do stupid. The guy with the bears, right? Guy with the bears, he wound up getting on everything. Unfortunately, stupid crossed the little line for him, and he didn't quite make it back from that one, did he? But yeah, this is my buddy Nick and I that were doing this. You'll see Nick coming out of the water right now. And we always say we don't know who's stupider, me or him for following me in, but one of the two. But anyway, that's kind of what put me on the map. I actually originally had a small little 50 square foot kiosk. That 50 square foot kiosk was in Kailua, Kona, and I later wound up doing. Sorry, I'm trying to. How do you share the? Somebody said you can share the complete screen. Advanced.
Yeah, usually it's the upper left option when you get to that right after you push the share button.
Okay, so let's,
Yeah, it's the one just labeled screen.
okay, so basic. So there's one labeled desktop. That works, right? So if I share that, can you see everything?
We can see everything.
Okay, look at that. Look at that. I'm going to be a professional at this before we're done. So anyway, doing stuff like that produced photos like this. This is the first ever photo of lava shot down the barrel of a wave. So yeah, just swimming, fast shutter speeds, of course, you got to stop the motion of the wave. The key thing with doing this as opposed to doing my regular wave photos is you're actually having to balance the light sources. You have the light from the lava, and then you have the light that's falling on the waves. And that's really only going to balance right for a moment. So like this, I'm shooting with the sun to my back. And with that, it's going to balance there. You can see this is a little brighter than the rest, but eventually it's going to get all washed out by sunlight. So you have moments to be in there at the right time. 2003, when we did it, I actually had to hike out. We basically hiked out about 7 miles, crossed over 2 lava flows. After crossing over the 2 lava flows, we scaled down about a 70-foot cliff, got onto the beach. But that time we were able to hop in and shoot back towards the sun, which made it kind of really interesting. So this is trying to balance everything while it's going. You'll see a little softness in the top of the wave here, because the fastest shutter speed I could get and still maintain everything here was about 1/800th of a second. And really you need about 1/1600th of a second. So this really only got any sharpness at the moment that it just paused at the top of its curl. Well, later as the sun came up, we were able to get stuff like that. And that's when everything balanced and everything was perfect. And so that was, I tell everybody, that was, 13 years of trying to get a specific shot that finally it all worked on that day. And you can see this is actually a shot that Nick took of me when I was in the water getting that shot. But I do a lot of volcano photography. Volcanoes kind of been my passion for years. So when I'm not in the water shooting surf, I'm normally doing stuff like this, a little longer exposure to show the flight path of the rocks as they go through, balancing it with the light that's coming over the horizon. you get these color tones, you know, for moments. Literally, I tell people I'll drive 2 hours, I'll hike out an hour or two, I'll spend 2 or 3 hours out there, hike back an hour or two, and then drive back 2 hours. And I do all that for 5 minutes of light. Because this color tone that you get, this where you get through these like lavenders and these purples, basically when it's dark out, when it's dark, you're going to get black and orange. It's going to just look like this. You have no other light there. It's just the light from the lava. So you get, it's real dark, and then you get the light from the lava. After, when the sun comes up, it's much more like this. It'll be black and white. So you get that orange, but the white. The transition in between is when you get those just really crazy, amazing colors. Actually, that beach that we had been swimming on, this is the beach that we had been swimming on. We went 4 days in a row. And on the 5th day, that's what happened to the beach. So there was no swimming on that day. Then this is actually the day before we got in the water. Day before we got in the water, I was standing on the beach shooting back. The curl that you see in the wave here, this is where we were swimming the next day. So we had actually got out on this day, and then I saw that we could get in the water. So the next day we rushed out to go hop in the water. But when we hopped in the water on the next day, the wind was blowing the opposite direction. So with the wind blowing the opposite direction, we're unable to get in on this side, which would have been ideal. If I could have gotten in on this side, I could have shot towards the sun, and it would have been really, really pretty at that time. But the normal trades actually carry all the gas, the direction that I was standing on the beach on this day. So the next day the trades had changed, so we weren't able to get in on this side. So the reason why you'll see the photos of us in the waves on this side is because that's the direction that the smoke was blowing. This was kind of cool with a little bit of a rainbow on that day. Then, yeah, I've been following the eruption all the way through all the cycles. This is Leilani. So this is actually up my friend's driveway. He had a gate coming in here. If you look here, you can see it where it's crushed. This is, you can see a lava rock hitting here. So we actually had a lava bomb hit the gate perfectly and just smashed the gate completely down. I had been over there to help him out because his house, he had 2 homes on the property, and the closer home on the property was actually getting hit by lava bombs. So what would happen would we'd get these humongous lava explosions like this, and they were hurling rocks all the way over that they were hitting the guest house. And when they would hit the guest house, they would crash through the roof. After they crashed through the roof, we would run in and we would dump a 5-gallon bucket of water on it. We'd grab it with welding gloves and we'd throw it over the edge of the building. He asked me to come out because he knew nobody that he knew was stupid enough to go in the place with him. Because what was happening is when these lava bombs would crash through the roof, when you're out here in the open, you can follow the lava bomb. You see it going, all you have to do is be bad at baseball, get out of the way. Now, if you're in the room and it blows up, as it crashes through the roof, you've got no time to dodge. You're going to look up and it's hitting you. That's it. So I had to go in with him and we had to take all the flammables out of his place. After we took all the flammables out of the place, we were able to just put whatever lava bombs crashed out and keep the fires down. You know, this one was actually, if you follow Nat Geo, that was a double-page spread in Nat Geo US about 2 years ago, and cover of Nat Geo Europe. They just took this portion for that one. And for any of you that sell to Nat Geo, you know they're not paying what they used to. This here was the cover of Outdoor Photographer a few years back. That's another from the fire hose. And one of my all-time favorites Just beautiful, beautiful sunrise as it comes, all balanced using a grad. So I use a sheet of glass that's dark up top, clear on the bottom, so I can darken the sky while I'm exposing for this and this together. Does anybody have any questions for me about Hawaii or any of that? Anything you want to see?
Well, CJ, this is Carl. Why don't you, if you could talk more about kind of the different cycles the volcano has gone through over the years, kind of what challenge it's presented to you. I know sometimes it's years in between a lot of ocean entries, and what you've done over the years to kind of match to the different patterns of Pele as she changes the landscape.
Well, what happens quite often is it'll recede back to the vent. Since 1983, it had opened up, and it had been flowing from 1983 all the way until 2018. 2018 being this big eruption with having this is night one of Fissure 8 and all that going on. But in between, what will happen is you will wind up with it flowing back to where it's just flowing on land like this. And you'll be hiking in. You have to hike in sometimes, 7-8 miles up towards the cliffside. And you'll get back there and you'll be able to see some lava, but nothing entering the ocean. Other times you have to even go up the hill. So like this is about not only hiking the 7 miles back to the cliff, but then going uphill, another 200, 300 feet, hiking up to where you have the lava rivers coming down from that. When it recedes back to the vent, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll concentrate on photographing whatever glow or whatever activity we have in the vent. So this is how the crater was years back, and then with a moonbow over it. So this is actually a rainbow at nighttime with the Milky Way. But we actually have times that, let me see if I can pull this up here. Okay. So I just got back from photographing fall colors and all that. So I just got a bunch of that good stuff from Colorado. This is what the vent is looking like actually right now. So, and it is visible from a legal point. So not a point that you have to snake out of bounds or anything like that. They're letting tourists go there. You just need a little bit of a longer lens and you can actually see in it. The lava had stopped from 2018, like completely stopped to where we had no glow, we had no nothing. And when it opened up in 2018, when it closed in 2018, we had nothing. It opened up again in December of 2020, kind of to end our 2020. But then it closed off again, and it was closed for about 3 months, and then it opened up again in July. And after it opened up again, we've had some opportunities to get out here. Like this is kind of show you a big overview of what's going on there. This is Mauna Loa in the background. And then you have the sunrise coming up. But you can see this is where I'm zooming in to get those shots that you see of the vent and then the lava going all the way across. But as I was showing with this one here, what I wanted to show you is that the vent has completely changed. The way it looks now is just utterly different. If you can't tell, I shoot a lot, but where are we at? So before it closed up again, before it closed up again, we were shooting a lot of moonbows over the volcano. And I actually had a really good run of moonbows. And where are we at here? Here we go. So this is what the crater looks like now. So if you notice how much bigger it's gotten, the crater literally went from being 1 mile wide to being 3 miles wide. And it's been phenomenal to go up there and chase the moonbows, but I mean, look at how much smaller this was compared to this. There's a road that went from here all the way to the Jagger Museum over here. And for about a mile of that road, it's completely dropped into the crater. Things change over there dramatically and quickly. And so we're always searching for different things and different views. This is another night with a moonbow. So you have 4 nights that the moon is bright enough to give you a moonbow as the moon sets behind you. The first of the 4 nights, the moon is the dimmest. And so it's going to be very, very dim with the moonbow. So you can see here, this is a very dim, very faint moonbow that you get on the first night. But then on the second night, you get quite a bit more moon. And so then we're able to get stuff like this. Let me see if I can, so you can see that's full moonbow there, all lit up with the lava. And it's amazing how quick it can change up there because it's a rainforest and it just changes rapidly. So this is moments after the moon sets and after all those clouds went away, same night. Yeah, it's kind of ever changing. You'll see this is, so the night that it opened up, now this is something that most people didn't get to see because even the USGS cameras, they were positioned in a different area than I was positioned in. So the area that I wound up in, I was able to get a different angle on the crater than what most people were getting. So when the USGS was showing photos or video of it, they were showing one waterfall that was coming off. And this is kind of the behind the scenes. We're somewhere around right over here. So if you look here, the USGS camera was over here. So it only had an angle to show you this. What they weren't able to show you was the 700-foot waterfalls of lava that opened up on this side of the crater. The only people that were able to see this view with all of this here was me and a few of my lava tick friends. We went out. You can actually see this is a portrait of all of us up there. But that's the last patch of asphalt. All this right here, this road from here to the Jagger Museum has dropped into the crater. All of this right here is ready to slide in. It can slide in at any time. It's a very dangerous area. This gas right here is pure sulfur dioxide gas that's coming out. If you get a whiff of that, basically it bonds with the water molecules in your lungs, will turn to sulfuric acid and burn you from the lungs out. So not a good idea to breathe it. So you really have to keep an eye on what the wind direction is doing. Luckily, the normal direction of the winds will blow it this way, but that morning it did start to shift, and so we had to take a quick run. But yeah, definitely worth it for some of the stuff we were able to see on that night. Now you can see quickly after that, within a couple of weeks, it filled up to, so I mean, you can see from here, it went from this is that patch of road. It literally went from that to this within less than a week. That hole, when everything collapsed in 2018, was 1,400 feet deep. It was deep enough you could fit the Empire State Building with the needle and right completely in the hole. Well, this right here, when the lava came up here, the measured level was 700 feet. So if you look at this here, this is where the top of those waterfalls were. And it's probably still another 50, 100 feet above the lake level. So those waterfalls were anywhere from 750 to 800 feet tall. You just have no scale to really give it to you. The width of this is 3 miles wide. But it is an ever-changing thing. So it's literally gone from this to where you had to be out of bounds to be able to see that, to the shots that I showed you where it's inbounds. And now anybody can come over here, and with just a short little hike, you're talking less than a mile, you can be out to see, oh, sorry, so many, yeah, within less than a mile, you can be looking at that. And so I tell everybody it's the best viewing it's been for the general public here in Hawaii of the volcano in 3 years. So definitely, if you've got a chance to get out, something to come out and see. I don't only photograph here in Hawaii, I photograph all over the world. Done trips to, like this is here, Mongolia, to photograph with the Kazakh eagle hunters. So I spend time where I'll go up there and I'll live with these guys in the gers for, you're talking a couple of weeks at a time. But it's an amazing culture, amazing people. But I like to go to the places that not everybody in the world goes. You always see the people headed to Iceland. Everybody's been there. You see the people. I like to be in the spots that, it's not the commonplace. And I like to get the shot that's not the common shot. So like that one I call Fly Me to the Moon. But they will actually hunt with these eagles. They'll send the eagles down to grab small prey. And then what they'll do is they will go and kill the fox, skin the fox, and then the meat from the fox goes to the eagle. But the fur, as you can see, like his jacket and his hat, the fur goes to making clothing for them. They can't exactly go to an REI and pick up their gear. So this is kind of the way they've done it for, thousands of years. But it's definitely an interesting culture. You'll see, this is the Milky Way over one of the gers. Get there in the summer, it's quite beautiful. But this is one of my guests that I take in there. I do private photo tours. So that kind of puts somebody right in the mix. He said he liked eagles and he wanted something cultural, so that's what we did. This is them running through the water. And they literally, you cook over, the fire there is actually lit from cow dung. In order to live on the steppe, they will actually, they need multiple animals. But one of the main things they do need is cows, because they will collect all the cow patties, and that's what they heat their gers with in the winter. And in return, they kind of harvest enough, grain that they can feed the animals over the winter. And so it's kind of a symbiotic relationship. A lot of the animals would not survive without the people, and most of the people would not survive without the animals there. Anyone have any questions? Anything you want to know? Anything you want to know about me, about my photography, about Hawaii?
Jackie had a question. How do you get clear pictures with water splashing on your water casing?
Oh, on the water housing. Okay, so here's the thing with those. So the kicker is that you have to be really good at swimming with your water housing out of the water. So what happens is you will literally clear your port. And so what you'll do is you'll get your port clear. And the way I do that is I'll have the dome port there. And what I'll do is clear it with the surface tension. So I'll pull it out of the water slowly, allowing that surface tension to pull the water all the way down to the bottom. Once it pulls it down to the bottom, most of the water will be off of it. Then you're sitting there swimming. Gosh, I'll tell you right now, I just upgraded some of my water gear, which is going to be really nice. But for years, I shot a Nikon D800, which only got 3 frames a second. And I used, if you've ever shot it, the Sigma 14 millimeter 1.8. That lens is like, I swear it's 2 or 3 pounds. When you're in the water, it's 20. And then you've got this heavy water housing around it. So you're swimming with like, easy 10 pounds out of the water the whole time. And, I was a lifeguard here in Hawaii for years. We used to have to take 5 pounds and tread water like this. And you'd sit there and tread water like that. And you had to be able to do that for 15 minutes. Well, that's nothing compared to what I do doing wave photos. Because when I'm doing wave photos, I have to clear that. And then I have to tread water with that out of the water, so that it doesn't get any water on it. And then if you go through a wave, if the wave gets some splash that comes back, anything like that, it gets on your port, you have to clear it all over again. So it's time and time and time again. You get more shots that you have that have a water drop going across. And the problem is that it's so close to the lens that if you get a little drip, it's not like it's a drip way out here. It's a drip that'll just completely destroy the center of your photo. It's about keeping that as clear as possible. I can't tell you how many lava wave photos I had that were completely wrecked because the water was so foamy that it was really difficult to get the port clear. And the temperature was also making the water want to like stick to the dome port even more. So it was much harder for me to clear the port. So I'll tell you, I probably had 30 or 40 photos that would have been exceptional if I could have got the port cleared. And that's talking, I probably have 12 lava wave photos that are great in my collection, but I probably have 30 or 40 that would have been great if I could have cleared the port. So yeah, clearing the port is like one of the most important things. Other than that, it's monkey photography. I tell everybody, if you can swim, I can set the settings up on a camera for you in 5 minutes. You can go out and you can be a wave photographer. All you need to be able to do is swim and clear the front of that port. But yeah, fun stuff is like this, laying on the sand as it comes over you. You just get blasted up the beach. That's all part of the drill. Then this is another from, and what's really neat is that every beach has different colors. So this is McKenna Beach. McKenna Beach on Maui, you'll almost always see this beautiful emerald green. But then yet you go down to, say, this is a place called I Don't Knows, and it has a beautiful green back here, but this is kind of its color tone. It's this, it has this like bluish, off bluish, greenish color tone that'll be to the beach there. But then you'll go to another place like, say, Kua Bay. I know I have some stuff from, oh, that's my hometown. That's in Waianae. And it gets this beautiful color tone. But yeah, you get into Kua. That's weird. What's funny is that this is one from Kua, but this is what happens when you shoot into the sun. When you're shooting into the sun, you're not seeing the light coming through the water, so it's going to look a lot blacker, a lot darker. Where Kua Bay will normally, this is behind a wave. This is the wave passes by you and you're actually looking through it. Those are the easiest shots to do. If you ever want to just do some quick, easy shots, the behind the waves are super easy. So here, this is Kua Bay. So Kua Bay gets these beautiful, like turquoise blues that are just, you just don't see just about anywhere else. And, so it's one of my favorite beaches to photograph over here on the Big Island. It doesn't have so much like the palm trees down at, like when I'm photographing at Sandy Beach or anything like that. And the sun only lines up with it a few times a year, but the color is just incredible. Like this is Sandy Beach where you'll get the palm trees and the waves lining up right down it.
How big are these waves?
Some of them quite big, others quite small. You have no perspective. So like, say here, I'll give you this. So something like this, super tiny. That right there is maybe a foot tall. Now, something like this on this day here, that's maybe about 4 or 5 feet tall. Now you get into something like this and you have no perspective. That shot there, that's on the North Shore of Oahu. That is a day that they almost held the Eddie Aikau surf competition. The Eddie Aikau surf competition is only held when the surf is over 25 feet Hawaiian style. That means we measure from the back of the wave. That means a 50-foot face. They did not hold the Eddie Aikau surf competition on that day because the winds were so bad that they were knocking the surfers off their boards, and they decided to cancel it. Now in the evening, the surf dropped a little bit. It wasn't 25-foot Hawaiian, but it was easy 20-foot Hawaiian. So that's about a 40-foot face. If you look here on the beach, you will see little specks. Those are people. This day was so big, you could drive a semi truck through that and have it not get wet. But literally, when you show people photos, like this shot gets no love. It's huge. I almost died for this photo. I got thrown over the falls and I stayed in it a little bit too long, longer than I should have. And you can see how there's these rocks here. There was also rocks over here. When the surf gets this big, a lot of times what happens is it sucks all the sand out to sea. Well, this was all very razor sharp reef here and razor sharp reef here. And there was only one small patch that you could come in over here. Well, I got thrown over the falls. It ripped one of my fins off and I had to do everything I could to swim to get over here to get up on the beach. Almost died for that shot, gets no love whatsoever. But then you get something tiny like this, you know, one of my best-selling photos is this. Absolutely gorgeous, beautiful shot. It's like 3 feet. You know, so I tell people, if you're just looking to go and get wave photos, don't go and try to kill yourself. You know, it's like Clark Little, what he does is he does the promotion of him. All his videos, his promotional videos are him in just humongous surf. But 90% of the photos that are up in his gallery are like 3-footers because they're prettier, they're clearer. You don't have as much, because they're not as thick, you can see more light through them. You can see how you see the light through that. When it gets thick, it blocks out the light. So some of your best looking waves are actually smaller. So don't, if you ever come over and you're like, hey, I want to go and try and get some wave photos, don't come over and think that you got to be out on a humongous day. You don't have to be out on a day like that or a day like this. I mean, look at how I'm shooting into the sun and look how blacked out everything is. This is so thick, you're barely getting any light through it. It's a humongous day. You don't have to be out in big days that are going to get you killed, because I'll tell you, the nicer, prettier days are these little small days that you can be standing on a sandbar and that's coming towards you.
Jen was curious how you focused when you're out in the waves. Do you use focus tracking or?
Okay, used to be back in the day, I would literally shoot with like a 15mm fisheye. I would pre-do the focus at about 5 feet because pretty much everything would be in focus after that. And then I would tape the focus ring down so it wouldn't get bumped when I'm in the waves. Now, that's how it used to be because the autofocus systems weren't that good. Today's day and era, the autofocus systems are so incredible. I put it in continuous focus. I put it in wide. I just let it select. It'll kind of select whatever's closest to it. So normally the lip of the wave. And I would say 95% of the time it gets it right. So nothing tricky with focus anymore. But back in the day, you used to have to focus it before you got in. And what really sucked about that is when you're shooting above water, your focus is at one point. But what people don't realize is once your housing goes underwater, you are no longer focusing at a set distance. What you're actually focusing on is a mirror image that happens on the inside of your dome port. And so the focus is completely different. So like a fisheye lens focused at 3 or 5 feet, and then you go underwater, it's no longer focused. It has to actually focus closer. It's normally focusing at like a foot. So in order to be able to focus above water and below water so that you can go and do shots like this, this is in the front of a wave. So when a wave crashes down, it forces a bunch of air underwater. That air gets trapped and it goes like this. So if you were photographing regular waves, you couldn't go underwater and get this shot because it would all be out of focus. So nowadays with autofocus tracking systems, you can literally put it on autofocus tracking, put it on autofocus wide, put it on continuous focus, and just pop out there and shoot. It's real easy. It gets more and more dumbed down every year if you guys haven't noticed. But yeah, it's yeah, we get some crazy shots. And then the other thing is if you're sitting there photographing in the waves and all of a sudden a turtle comes by, you know, you wouldn't be able to photograph that turtle because, you know, it's just gonna be completely out of focus. So yeah, definitely a big advantage to being able to do autofocus now, where that was not a possibility years back. I'll tell you, the tracking on the Nikon D850 is incredible. And on some of these Sonys, it's really amazing. I'm actually about to start using Sony A7R4 just because they just came out with that new 14 millimeter 1.8 lens. And I don't know if any of you guys shoot Sony or have tried it, but that little 14 millimeter 1.4 lens weighs nothing. It's like a 1/16 of the weight of the Sigma, and it is just as sharp. And so I'm going to cut by switching to mirrorless, and then changing to that lens. I'm going to probably drop, I'm going to say at least 3 to 4 pounds off of my my water rig, which is going to be humongous in the water. Any other questions? Anything about Hawaii? Any
What kind of housings do you use? The waterproof housings? What do you recommend?
I've used Aquatech for years, and then SPL. SPL's always been one of my favorites, just because they really hold up. But I really recommend to people nowadays to go with the Aquatechs, and the reason why is you can buy your set of ports, and every time your camera changes, you don't have to change everything. So what's happened for years is whenever I change my camera, I have to change my whole housing and then every port for every lens that I've ever done. And that's just the way surf housings have been for years. You don't want to use a dive housing for shooting waves. If you try to use a dive housing for shooting waves, they're made to seal after they get pressure. So as you dive down your first 33 feet, you go another atmosphere. After that atmosphere goes down, it's going to put more pressure on the housing, and it makes it seal up better. Well, with a wave camera, it needs to be sealed up in the first 33 feet, and it needs to be sealed up really solid. So on those, what happens is they compress the O-ring a lot more. So you're either screwing it down with wing nuts or your clips that clip it down. You'll see they really suck down on that O-ring big time. Now, the problem with that is that if you take that same camera and you go deep with it, you'll blow the O-ring out because it's already heavily overpressurized. Now, if you take the other camera, you take the dive camera and you bring that and you use that to go into the surf, it's not sealed enough in that, and it'll take one wave and it'll probably leak. So not the best to use that. So there's SPL, there's Liquid Eye, there's Aquatech. Aquatech is right now kind of becoming the big boys in the game just because what they're allowing you to do is change your housing, but keep all of your old ports, which really saves on the investment. And some of the housings, even like if you change the camera, you can actually still use your housing. All you have to do is change a base plate and a back plate. And so it winds up being like a $700 upgrade to your housing rather than like a $4,000 or $5,000 upgrade to your housing. So for most people, if you're not doing it all the time, I highly recommend those. This is what happens when a tornado meets a volcano. Sorry, bad Eminem quote. But
Is there a better time of year to come and do this kind of waves and stuff?
waves are in the winter. That is hands down the best time for surf. Waves are definitely the best time to go and hop in the water and come and do it. Just make sure, as I said, don't swim out in something that you can't handle. So it's really know your limits. And as I said, you don't have to be in humongous surf. I mean, I've gotten good wave photos in 6 inches. So yeah, don't think that just because you can't get out into big surf, you can't get a good wave photo. You can get great wave photos in smaller surf. This was fun. So this was my answer to a photographer that wanted me to take a photo of him in one of those silver suits by the lava river. So he had been going around to different volcanoes around the world and having photographers take photos of him standing by the lava river in one of those giant reflective heat suits. And he's like, it gets so many hits on Instagram. And I was like, but it's so BS. You can stand right next to the river. She's in flip-flops. He's in a sarong. He's in shorts. She's in shorts. You don't need to be in the giant heat suit. So he tried to get me to take him out and go and get a photo of him doing that. I didn't. He later got another photographer to do it for him. They posted it up on social media. And I had to troll, so I put that one down in the comments. I was like, don't really need the heat suit. This actually spells out Pele. This is our fire goddess over here. So we were having fun. Any other questions?
Hey, CJ, this is Carl. What's your favorite lava shot?
Oh God, it's like asking me to pick a favorite child. That one. No. It's, God, I have so many. This was actually an amazing day. I really always love this day. I call it Lava at Dusk. We went through the forest, literally climbing under pig trails to be able to get to where this was at, because the police had the road cordoned off and they weren't letting anybody get by. So we went before them and went through the actual forest and walked up the shoreline and came up, and we were the only ones there photographing that night. So it was pretty special. Another one that I have that I really like is, let's see here, called Bench Walk. So this one's called Bench Walk. And I guess the reason why I like this one so much is that this is taken on the bottom of a bench. I climbed down about 75, 80 foot cliff, and I'm standing on one of those benches that can break off at any moment. But this here had broken open and it was flowing back. It was back flowing on the bench, which doesn't happen most of the time. Most of the time it breaks open here and it flows back over the bench. It continues that way, like it's path to water. But this kind of backflowed on the bench and it was looking really good. So really one of my favorites. I've always loved it. It's actually one of my better sellers out of the gallery. But this is what it was doing shortly before that. So when I climbed down on the bench, it was exploding up in the sky, just humongous. And it was flowing back. I know I put it in here, but it was flowing back on the bench. So this is before the sun started to come up, same night. So you can see how high those eruptions were. Those eruptions were going just as high as the cliff that I climbed down. But really just an amazing sight to be there. And every time one of these eruptions would go, every time it would burst like that, the entire bench that I was standing on would shake. And so you're just, you don't know if you're going to come back from it, but it's about getting shots that nobody else has. So as I said, stupid, but stupid's done me fairly well over my life. Like this one here, so this one I call Trouble in Paradise. So this one was, the electrical storm was headed towards my house. This is actually a 60-second exposure at nighttime. It was pitch black dark. If it wasn't for the lightning, the only light you would have would be the lights of the airport over here. This light is all from a video light that I have shining on this the whole time to just kind of give it some light, dim down, really dim. Then this right here, that orange, that's the lights of Kona. That would be the light pollution from Kona. So if there was no lightning, what you would get would be these lights with a little light pollution above it, my light here, and the lights of Kona. But what happened here is this lightning struck about 100 yards in front of me, scared birds out of the wetlands. The birds came flying over here. The only reason why you see the birds, let's see if I bring this up here. All those birds, you see how they're stop motion in the sky? Which means obviously they had to be flashed by something. Something had to light them up for a millisecond. Well, you see the fringe lightning right here? It is attached to a bolt just outside of my frame, just out here, that is just as bright as this bolt. So if you look at the palm frond, you'll see the palm frond here. See how it looks ghosted? That's where it was when the first lightning struck. This is where it was when the second lightning struck. The whole while, I'm standing in this sand that, if you notice, the sand is wet from salt water. So the waves are coming up and hitting my feet every once in a while. I'm standing with a tripod in salt water waiting for lightning to go over me. But once again, a shot that nobody else has. Always trying to push the limits, you know, but some days it works out, some days it doesn't. I dropped 20 feet into a lava tube. I fell 20 feet into the lava tube, shattered my ankle. Got a plate, 7 screws and 2 pins in one ankle. Carl knows that I broke my other ankle up photographing Aurora up on the Hall Road, doing a photo tour, by the way, all the way up almost to Wiseman, and the sun was setting, and I ran out, went to go and take a couple of photos. The sun looked good. Ran back to the car to tell my group, hey, you know, grab your stuff. Let's go. Let's shoot sunset over here. And as I was running across the Hall Road, hit some ice, slid, fell, broke my other ankle. My people were like, should we go back? You know, get you to Fairbanks, get you some medical attention. I was like, well, we're about what, 6-7 hours from Fairbanks, or 2 hours from it getting dark and the aurora being out. I said, we are not going back. So I just laced my foot up in my boot and stuffed it in snow, used my tripod as a crutch, and we photographed aurora all night. Then I wound up photographing the whole rest of the trip, took them out for the rest of the trip on a broken ankle. Didn't realize it was broken until completely broken. I thought I just sprained it or messed it up until I got back home, and I was going into the gallery, and my wife was like, you know, you really need to have that checked out. Went to go and have it checked out, and my doctor's like, if you're walking in here on it, it's not broken, you just sprained it. He goes, but we'll do an x-ray just to make sure. Went and did an x-ray, and he called me in immediately and was like, nope, you're going to orthopedics, you're got to go in. Well, I had a pretty big fracture in that one too. So yeah, I've been laid up with, both ankles have been broke, one from lava, one from shooting aurora. 2 of my favorite things in the world to shoot. So I say it works out. I got to tattoo them. I got to tattoo one fire and the other ice, and I'll be happy. But this is actually, let me see here.
So CJ, while you're looking up something else, somebody asked in the chat if you do much video, and I'll ask as well, is there a shot you have visualized that you have not yet captured? So 2 questions for you.
2 questions. I do not do much video. I am horrible at video. I put a couple of things together. You guys probably saw that lava wave video. That was the extent of my video capture capabilities, and that was really bad. Now, I have a lot of friends that are really big into video. They do it and they're very good at it. I just kind of tell people, you know, I'm limited to capturing the world in 1 frame. And I do have a lot of other photos that I'm dreaming of. I am dreaming of aurora over that volcano in Iceland. That's been on my list of something that I want more than anything in this world. And I need to make that happen. I've been waiting for it to get darker and the lights come out. Hopefully some volcanic activity be there. But if you know anything about Iceland, you know, everybody thinks it's this great place to go for aurora, but really it's latitude wise, it is, you're not even all the way up in the Arctic Circle. You're pretty, you know, pretty far south, and it's cloudy most of the time. So even if you get aurora, most of the time you're clouded out. The thing is, what makes everybody think it's so amazing is that there's always a million photographers in Iceland. And so on the few nights a year that they get great aurora, there's a million photographers posting photos of aurora for the next 10 years that all have these beautiful, the foregrounds there are just incredible. So if you get a great foreground with that aurora, it's to die for. So I am if the lava kicks up and gets to be really, really active, I will probably go and spend, you know, a month or 2 here in Iceland, hoping to get that shot.
Well, how about on your visual wish list for Hawaii? Is there something you have visualized that you have not yet captured in Hawaii?
Yes. So this is here.
And the reason why I bring this up, I mean, for me as a photographer, I find visualization, kind of imagining a shot, an important part of the creative process, that it's something that's a goal to pursue. And I know that you have some of those too. So that's why I was asking about any you have for Hawaii.
So this is the shot that I had visualized for about 5 or 6 years. I knew that you could catch the Milky Way over the valley. There's 3 months out of the year that the Milky Way will be out of the valley. The first month, the Milky Way will be about right here as the moon sets. The second month, the Milky Way will be about right here as the moon sets. And the third month, it's pretty much right here. And if you get it on the first of the 4 nights, now there's 4 nights that the moon is bright enough to give you a moonbow, but only the first of the 4 nights is it dim enough that you can expose for the moonbow and the Milky Way. So I have been trying for about 5 years to time this all out so that I could get the moonbow with the Milky Way, everything, the moonlight lighting up Pololu Valley. So it took me about 5 years to get that. Well, this seems like it would be really hard to have all that come together and everything line up, and that'd be great. But this is way easier than the next shot that I'm trying to get. See this shot here, the thing is that the moon is setting in the west. And in Hawaii, the west is normally clear. So it's normally an area that even if you have rain in front of you, where the moon's setting in the west, behind you, it's clear. So having rain in front of you with the moon shining in is fairly easy because the wet side of the island is normally the east side and the dry side is normally the west side. Well, I want this exact same thing. I don't care about the Milky Way in this next shot, but I have a dream of having moonbows from both sides of the valley. So this is taken from about 3/4 of the way down the trail at Pololu Valley. Actually, I've taken you to Pololu, Carl. We went. I remember going down there with you. I also took you to
Yeah.
So the other place that I want to go is Waipio, and it is looking the opposite direction. So this is Waipio, and I have a dream of getting Waipio with the moonbow. Now I know I can get YPO with a moonbow because I've gotten YPO with a rainbow. I've actually got it with a rainbow, like right over here. Happens every once in a while. But the kicker is that all I need for it to do is be raining on the dry side and clear on the wet side on one of the 4 nights out of the month that the moon is bright enough to give you a moonbow. And I have the 4-wheel drive all the way down to Waipio and hope I get it. And I have 2 hours a night each night with the moonbow. So, and then even at that, the later hours of the moonbow is going to be very low. So really, you only want that first hour of the moonbow where the moonbow is going to be up here. So that's my next dream shot. I've been down there probably about 15 times already. Still haven't got it. I got very close one night. Got very close. I saw it. I literally saw the moonbow. I had the moonbow right here. It cleared up for a split second right behind me. Boom, moonbow came because I just got rained on. But it was so cloudy, you couldn't see the cliff. So it didn't do me much good. So I had basically shoreline lit up by moonbow right here. And I'll tell you, the moonbow could have been anywhere on the island because it was so rained out, you could not see the cliff behind. So it's gonna happen one of these days. That's my next big visualization as far as shots go, and hoping to get it, but it's gonna be a lot of work. Just like for years, I had a shot in my mind. So I photograph in YPO all the time. This is there's a waterfall that flows there, and it flows in. This here only flows about once every 7 years. And so I had always wanted to shoot sunrise with that waterfall. Well, I finally got to do that, but I also got very lucky. And there was surf at that same time. So the next day I ran down and I actually went to go and get a water housing. And I got to hop in the water and catch it with waves with the waterfall. And then I had one day that I had really good light. Let me see if I think it's called. So that was my favorite from that. So this was the best of all the days. I actually had backlit on the waves, enough light coming, able to get it with the waterfall. And what was really awesome about this is this time of year where the sun's coming up here on this side of the point, normally the sun's coming up over here. The only time the sun comes all the way over here is for about a week before and a week after the summer solstice. So for me to copy this shot again, I would need this waterfall that goes off about once every 5 to 7 years to start flowing again. But during the 2 weeks that the sun's over to the side, and then there would have to be surf in the summer, which, as I told you guys before, that winters are surf time. So normally in the summer, you can snorkel out here. So this was a perfect storm. It was not something that I had visualized, but it's something that once I saw the surf, I knew I wanted. So I went and spent the next 3 days down there doing it until the waterfall stopped. This waterfall is connected to the Koala Ditch system. So it's controlled. It's on a valve. I know where the valve's at, but I would probably get charged with domestic terrorism if I went and turned the valve on, messing with the water supply, something like that. The valve is on my friend's property up above. And that's where I do get lucky, is because this will, as I said, it'll be dry for 5, 7, 8 years, whatever. Well, all the tree limbs and things that fall into the river base, they build up in there. And then when they open that water, the water rushes out. Well, all those trees come out hitting against each other, knocking it against each other. And it sounds like just the most horrendous roar you would ever hear. And my friend lives right there, so he hears it when it goes off. So anytime they open that up, he hears it and he calls me. So now I've got that there. I've got that insight on it there, but chances of getting all these things to happen together again, very slim.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I've ever seen that shot, CJ. That's stunning.
Thank you. Yeah. I got a couple. You push the button enough, right? You know, this is what I met first trip that I went and did with Carl. So Carl will remember that night, Portage Valley.
And so for everybody else, this was the 2013 St. Patrick's Day Aurora storm.
Yeah. This is another one from that. But I actually have a photo of Carl here. Oh, this is my first photo of Aurora ever. I got like all the colors. It was kind of crazy.
And that was an Alaska Magazine cover, wasn't it?
Alaska Magazine. And what was funny is we were all up there and it's just started to come out and it was real faint. And we're having to do longer exposures to get it. I mean, you can see how much stars we're getting. And my buddy Nolan's joking around. He goes, if this is all you see, this sucks. Moments after it started getting brighter and brighter and we got it like that. And then from then on, we didn't get a night without red. Carl may tell you, but we were messing with Carl up at the restaurant, pulled into the pump house and we called him up. And I was like, hey, Carl, I was just wondering how you get that classic photo of the Aurora. And he's like, what do you mean? I go, are you using a filter? He goes, for what? I go, to get just that classic green band. Are you using a filter to get rid of all the red? Carl immediately hung up on me. But yeah, we had fun. So I actually got a photo. I know I got one of Carl down here. This is, oh, right here. That's Carl right there. So yeah, that was a fun night out. I was stoked to. He actually didn't go with us at first because he heard there was going to be a blizzard, and so we landed in Anchorage. We spent about probably 2 hours, 3 hours at his house, and convinced ourselves that we just wanted to drive straight up to Dead Horse. So we drove from Anchorage straight to Dead Horse. We stopped. We were driving up, and all of a sudden there was all these truckers stopped. And this is what happens when you get somebody from Hawaii that thinks that they might have some insight on Alaska. So all these truckers were stopped, and I was like, they're probably just stopped because it's dark out and they're waiting to, we're about 36 miles out of Dead Horse. So I'm like, they're waiting to drive up there in the morning so they can unload their loads. So they're just resting here before they go up. You know, they were stopped there because that was the last place that you could be in the lee of the Brooks Range before being in this blizzard. So we continued driving on and wound up in a full-fledged blizzard. I crashed the car on the haul road in the blizzard. We had to get the car. I literally completely flipped around backwards. Nick wakes up next to me, goes, don't worry, dude, you got this. I proceeded to tell him as we were speaking in slow motion that I had nothing and that we were going to land where we landed. And we crashed backwards up one of those reflector poles. Later, the reflector pole popped the tire on the truck. So we got the truck out, but then we had to change the tire in the middle of the haul road in a blizzard. And then continued on. We got up to Dead Horse, found out that what was funny is before that, we actually had some dude in a big truck and a grader come by. And we were like, hey, can you help us get out? And he says, what company are you with? He didn't think it was as funny as I did when I told him Alamo Rental Car. He was expecting we were with somebody else. Yeah, that didn't work out so well. So he's like, we can't pull you out if we do any damage. You know, the guy, so he goes, but we can call a wrecker. I was like, no, we'll get it out. We had brought bags of kitty litter and everything like that. And we got the car out, changed the tire, went up, had soup up at Dead Horse, bought some of the most expensive gas on the planet. then proceeded to turn around and follow a grader all the way back that was making its way back down to get all the trucks. So we followed him back, got there, and then my first photo was from the Brooks Range, and it was that aurora with all the reds. And after that, we came back down and we met with Carl. But yeah, he was right. The weather wasn't so good when we were there, but it was still pretty. Yeah, no, I've had quite a few great adventures photographing aurora with Carl, and been all over Alaska doing it. And yeah, no, just had a lot of fun. Had Carl all over Hawaii shooting too. So definitely some good times. That's one of my favorites.
I used that as a profile photo for a long time.
Did you? Yeah, that was fun. This water moves, and I mean, you know, to hold your ground and be standing, this has got a lot of force behind it, and you're sitting there knee deep in the water as it comes by, and I'm like, just stay still, because of course this is a third of a second exposure to get the draw of the water, and to have him still, that was awesome.
Well, thanks, CJ. That's been awesome presentation. Does anybody have any other questions for CJ about his Hawaii stuff or photography in general or anything else?
Some awesome photos there, CJ.
I appreciate it. If you guys ever get out to Hawaii, you can get my information. You know, you type in CJ Kale, I pop up in a lot of different places. Once again, as I said, stupidity gets you everywhere, but you should be able to find my number there or get it from Carl. And, you know, look me up, hit me up. And if you need help with anything over here photographing, just let me know.
And also, CJ is zooming in from a back room in his gallery in Waikaloa right now. I recognize that room.
They were awesome photos, CJ. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. So tell me about your organization. What's your organization that you guys got going on here?
I thought I'd let our president answer that one.
Yeah, where is she?
What do you want to know? Yeah.
What's ASONP stand for?
Alaska Society of Outdoor Nature Photographers.
Awesome. Awesome.
It's a group of about 130 people right now.
Oh,
Come
very
and go. We have monthly meetings. Occasionally we have workshops and speakers come in, and it's just a good group of people who share their experiences photographing Alaska.
That's awesome. Well, you guys live in a beautiful state. It's my favorite state other than Hawaii. So I will be, I'm going to be looking for some land up there pretty soon. I've been telling Carl I want to be out in the boonies up there. But yeah, that's, you know, been all over Alaska, been, oh gosh, I drove everywhere the road system would take you. And then finally, when I wanted to go to Juneau, the way I got to Juneau is via Naknek. So we took a boat from
CJ rode a drift gillnet boat from Naknek over to Juneau.
Wow.
all the way around the Alaska Peninsula. My friend bought it sight unseen, so it was perfectly safe, right?
Yeah, they went through False Pass and then across the Gulf over along Prince William Sound and then down the coast.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, it was a blast, but beautiful, beautiful country. And then just a couple summers ago, I went in through Alsek Lake, came down through, let me see here, actually, if I can do this. This is...
And while you're looking that up, CJ, one other thing I'll mention too that ASOMP does is we have an annual juried photo exhibition that is featuring images that are taken in Alaska. So you don't have to be an Alaska resident to submit to this juried exhibition if you wanted to throw in some of your Alaska stuff.
I have one or two photos from Alaska.
We're accepting submissions right now through the
Till the
28th.
28th.
Yeah, let me see if I can. So I got to do this river trip that was really interesting. We got to go down the Tatanchini River, which they only give what 300 people get permitted to go down it every year. And basically you start in Canada, you cross the border on the river, you come to the Tatanchini Alsek conversion. It's all like glacial fed, just beauty like this. But you wind up in Alsek Lake, which is just ridiculous. It's fed by multiple glaciers. And where are we at here? So yeah, I shoot too much. If you don't notice, this is.
I'm glad to see that you organize things like I do.
Yep, that's exactly how I do it. So has anybody ever seen an iceberg dolphin?
Wow.
Now, that would be really weird if I just saw, I mean, that would be already the dude from Hawaii shows up in Alsek Lake and finds an iceberg shaped like a dolphin. That would be strange, right? But what's even more strange is when you show up and you find a pod of them.
Nice. I've actually floated the Tatanchini River several years ago, and
Is
It
it
is-
not incredible?
it's beautiful. We actually watched one of those icebergs calve right behind our raft.
We had one calve right by our campsite, and it sent a wave large enough that I could have shot wave photos with it.
Oh
And
yeah, there you go. There you
I
go.
was ticked off that I didn't have my wave housing.
Yeah. I've never seen wildflowers like I've seen in the Tatanchini River.
Oh my gosh, just incredible. And so I swim with icebergs, so I don't only swim with lava.
Oh, good for you. I didn't do that.
You know, that's my guides were tripping out when I swam all the way out to the icebergs and just hung out there. I was in the water for about 5 minutes, and they were like, they didn't expect me to just do, they expected most people to just do the polar plunge. But yeah, this iceberg that you're looking at right here, that calved. And when it came over, what shocked me is just how big they are underwater. Is as it flipped from our campsite, we're looking, and this thing comes up over the trees and over the like where our tents are, and it looked like Godzilla was raising up out of the lake and coming for us. And then all of a sudden, this wave just came across, and it literally just all of our campsites, just it put our fire out, everything. It was crazy.
Wow.
But
Yeah, you got to be a little careful with those bad boys.
yeah, they're pretty awesome. But yeah, no.
Yeah, years ago we got Child's Glacier out east of Cordova calved, and 2 women that were at the campground were they were damn near killed. They were seriously injured because they were like slammed up against the trees and everything from a wave from the calving glacier. So
See, that's what I was saying. I was saying the waves are big enough from those things that you can shoot them. If I would have known that, I would have brought a water housing. I would have been sitting there ready. But yeah, we had a lady almost get killed on our last coming down one of the edge of the river right before we were getting to where you pull out at Dry Bay. It kind of flows a little fast there, and the edge of the river was undercutting where some trees were. And we're coming along, and I'm videotaping, and all of a sudden, I'm just taking video with my phone. I don't want anybody to think I do real video, but I'm taking video with my phone. And all of a sudden, the raft in front of us goes, and you see the land just start going out from underneath, and this tree go. And the lady's on the back of the raft, and it missed her by probably 6 inches. Whole tree just came down right. And then we moved out just in time to not get hit by the tree. Luckily we had enough separation that we were able to get around the tree. But yeah, no, it was, there's some crazy things happen on that river, but it's a lot of fun.
We were just in our little 14-foot raft, and the big guys would come by in their 18-footers, and we would feel like we were like in a rubber ducky, but we liked it.
That's so awesome. we had a group of Canadians that were there in like a small 14-foot raft. They came by and we were there on Canada Day, and they came rowing by. We were out there on the knob, yeah. So
Yeah.
we're camping on the knob, and they come rowing by us, and they're singing like, you know, the Canadian national anthem as they come by. And I grab my phone out and I'm getting some video of them, and they turn over and then they go, I always go, "Hey, happy Canada Day." They go, "Oh, sorry, eh?" I'm like, it's Canada Day and you're apologizing for celebrating Canada Day. I'm like,
Yeah. Go figure that one.
I was in here in my gallery today with a lady from Canada, and I told her that story because she was telling me about how with COVID now, a couple of the, you know, because the provinces, they've got lots of different rules in each province. So when you come from one province to the other province, you go, said, you know, and some of the provinces there, it said they're getting really rude. And I'm like, we have reached the 7th layer of hell. People in Canada have started becoming rude. It's all over, you know. So, but guys, it has been great speaking with you guys, and yeah, as I said, definitely have Carl share out all my information, you know. And if you guys ever get over, you want some information on, you know, photographing Hawaii, the Big Island especially. I know all the other islands, of course, too, but you can hit me up and I will help you out with whatever I can.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep. Thank you for your presentation. That was awesome.
not a problem whatsoever.
And I've got a few member slides to show tonight from Doug Hupp. And I also have a video of my own that I'm going to show you here shortly. So if you're ready to start, if there's no other announcements, I can start that. Everybody see the image?
Yes.
Okay.
Does everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Great. So these are pictures I was hoping to get into last month's deal, but I kind of messed up on getting them posted. So figure I'd do them this month. So these are some pictures, mostly just of well, my travels around this summer, mostly a little bit in the winter too. But this one, using my wife's knowledge of wildflowers, she was on this common yarrow. So go to the next one, please.
Oh, come on. There we go.
And this was a Labrador tea. These were probably along the road between Anchorage and Lake Louise area, as I do spend a lot of time up at Lake Louise, Lake Susitna. So we'll go on to the next one. I like this. This was near the Matanuska Glacier pull off where you had the common yarrow, the fireweed, and the lupin, all three nicely nestled together. Next shot. This was taken in September of this year. Some willow trees near Lake Susitna, backlit with all the fuzz. There was all along this section of the road. There was just a lot of this stuff. Next one. So this is an invasive species. It's a mayday tree. It's my neighbor's tree. I understand talking to them that they're going to be taking the tree out, but this was taken the rains that we had a week or two ago. And I like the droplets where you can see the inverted background showing up in these. Next one. So we had the lunar eclipse in May, I believe it was, of last year or of this year. And this was in Anchorage. It's kind of a interesting to fight the clouds and the vegetation where I was taking this picture from. So this was the best one that I got. I don't call this a good one, but it's a it's just a little bit of for me, a unique one to be able to get them since they show up so seldom. Next one. So the next few are I believe it's the red-throated merganser, if I have this right. Using my, what's that?
Beautiful shot. I really
Yeah, this is from the dock where our cabin is on Lake Susitna. And I've got 4 pictures of the merganser of this one and another one. So next shot. These are the babies, little chicks that were swimming along afterwards.
That's a great shot.
That's really awesome.
The next one. So the lighting was, and they were swimming with a light then shadows on the chicks, unfortunately, but still is it was fun to watch them. There were times when she would be ahead of them and they'd be scrambling to catch up, and other times they would be right behind her. And next one. So they swam on over to the beach. You can see that they're the chicks off to the side and the mom. And there's one of the chicks is there right next to her. And as I sat there stood there taking pictures, the chicks all migrated down and around her and they all went to sleep. Nice open area so they could see if there was a fox coming from a distance. Next one. So this was in my backyard. There was this little baby rabbit, and I think that one of our neighbors' cat or a dog killed the mom. So I saw this baby for about 2 months growing up in the backyard. I'd wake up and look around in the backyard, and like every other day, I could see him or her just kind of getting in the sun. And as it grew bigger, it started to jump around more and be a little bit more active. And then after, let's say, a couple months, I quit seeing it. So in my own mind, I say it probably moved into a neighbor's yard, but I'm sure that somebody else got it. So next shot. So this is in September. My wife and I, we took the camper and went across the Denali Highway, and we're getting towards Cantwell, about 20 miles from Cantwell. We saw, while I was driving, I said, oh, there's some beavers in that pond. It was a beaver pond. So pulled over, got my camera out and said, no, those aren't beavers. They aren't swimming in straight lines. They're having too much fun. Well, it was about 6 or 7 otters that were swimming around. And if you go to the next picture, you can see why they were in this pond. I've got about 4 or 5 different pictures of otters with fish in their mouths. So obviously they were on a hunting expedition, harvesting the fish that they could. Next one. This is my last one. I don't know how many of you remember, it was near Cheney Lake where a kid got bit by an otter. Well, you can see what the teeth are like on the otter. This is 2 of them just popped their head out of the water, and this one had its mouth open. The angle for my take of the sun was really bad for these pictures because this pond's rimmed by private property, so I had to stay on the road. Would like to have gotten a better angle picture, but I wanted to be able to highlight what their teeth look like when I got this shot. So those are my pictures.
So Doug, did you say that was at Cheney Lake or a lake by Cheney Lake?
So that picture there was on the Denali Highway near Cantwell.
Oh, okay. Okay. Nice.
So this is the time-lapse video that I put together. This is back in August. We had some wildfire smoke moving in from Siberia. So we had some colorful sunsets for a little while, and I seem to have picked the right spot along Point Warrenzoff to shoot this, as you'll see towards the end of it as the sun sets. The sun went down right almost perfectly in that notch. So I was kind of happy with that video.
Nice.
Really nice, Alan.
Yeah.
You were sitting there with the photographer's TPE going right here.
Yeah. I had a rough idea where the sun was going to set, but I had no idea it was going to set right there where it did. So I was very happy when I put this together and saw that.
That was on the map.
Awesome.
Yeah. I do a lot of time lapse videos, and that probably is my favorite one that I put together this year. So,
Very
yeah.
cool.
And that concludes our memory images tonight.
I do have one announcement that I forgot that I probably should make. This is Kathy. And I found out that 3 days ago, Great Alaska has decided to shut its doors. So after years and years of giving ASONP incredible trips out to bear camp, that will no longer be happening because they are closing bear camp.
Aw.
Is that after this year or prior
Nope.
to the summer?
Before, as of 2 days ago.
Hmm.
So we wish them the best of luck. They decided to retire. They've just had a few really bad years with COVID and a few other things that have happened. And so they've decided to shut the whole operation down. So maybe somebody will pick it up, and Kent said that if they do, that he will put in a good word for our photo club. We're the only people that he's been giving discounts to for the last 20 years. As you remember, Alan, we were one of the first people to ever go out there when they
Yeah.
first opened.
Yep.
And it breaks my heart that they're closing because
Yeah, same here.
it's been a very special place for me, as well as a lot of other people with Alaska Society of Outdoor Nature Photographers.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
but anyway, I just wanted to let everybody know. We
Yeah.
had dates and everything planned for this summer. We already had them blocked off, and we had the whole camp set up for the 10th of August. And if somebody buys it and wants to hang on to those dates for us, I'll let everybody know. But right now it's a no-go.
That's sad.
Yes, very sad. Other
And
than
I'm
that, happy
moving, so-
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving. Does anybody have anything else want to throw in? Don't forget Alaska Wild submissions through that Thanksgiving weekend. Check
Yep.
our website for details and the submission rules.
Yeah,
it
well,
was,
everybody's,
it was a little hard for me to cull it down from what I started with 41 images down to 6. So, but
I'm still working on
I
that.
got down there. So, but there were a lot of ones that I would have liked to have submitted, but when you only can submit 6, they'll have to wait till another year.
I'm still working on mine.
Yeah.
I'll mention while everybody's here that our December presenter will be Travis Nowitzki, who lives in the North Shore of Minnesota, Lake Superior, North Shore, Grand Portage, and he will be presenting his North Shore photography.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that one.
Carl, could you get me some pictures so I can post it for the next week?
Yeah, I'll have to get those from Travis. He's currently on, he does an annual like 2-3 week Southwestern road trip this
Okay.
time of year, and he's on it right now. So I'll get him when he gets back.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thanks.
Send those to me too, Carl, so I can get them on the website, post 1 or 2 of them on the website for the calendar.
You bet.